Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, 2 locations as yet disclosed. This is undisclosed. There we go. Undisclosed. That's the word I was searching for. Today is Friday, June 16th, 2023. That's Blake Walley. My name's Brian Engelman, and we're going to kick off today's episode of the Agree to Disagree show on the New American Media. All right, there it was, our rough draft intro. Love it. Good stuff. Thanks, Blake. Awesome times. How you doing over there, sir?
I am doing great, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here. Sorry we couldn't do yesterday's show. It's an impromptu. Got called into work. I got called into action.
Yeah,
I couldn't make it anyway. But I'm glad to get a little recap here for Friday. Even though Brian's got limited time, but we're here.
Yeah, I have a little bit more time than I used to, but it's good to be needed, right? You got called in, but that means somebody values your time and values your existence. So that's good. That's validating in this world where we're shadow banned into oblivion. We're ignored. We're demonetized. We're deranked. Our episodes go down the memory hole. You can't even find them if you search word for word, character for character. It's just a strange situation that we happen to be residing in, trying to make sense of this digital landscape as we kind of renovate. We're renovating. Blake, we need an HGTV show because we're renovating the media. Yeah. We're renovating. We're taking this fixer-upper, this dump, this abandoned ramshackle jalopy, and we're trying to turn it into something usable. We're trying to go through the stories of the day and discuss the things that matter. So let's jump right into today's
censored, shunned, ignored, and scorned. Here we go.
Censored, shunned, ignored, and scored. Are those Dandy Warhol's lyrics?
No, those are my lyrics.
All right, well let's turn that into a song.
Yeah.
Write that down in the comments so we don't forget it. Put that somewhere. What censored, scorn? Wait, I'm shorn like a sheep. What is it? I'm scissored. Wait a minute. Hold on. None of that makes sense.
Oh, scissored. All right.
Too many jokes. I'm not going there. Okay. Well, I will cut out the jokes. Oh, that was terrible. And get to the top story here. Blake, do you agree or disagree that the Bidens coerced Burisma to pay $10 million in bribes? Agree or disagree?
I'm going to say I agree only because those are kind of the headlines, and that's what people are saying. It's probably going to be much, much worse than that. But I'm guessing that the head of Burisma saw an opportunity to get out of some major corruption by bribing some very powerful people across the pond in the U.S., but it happened to be the sitting VP and his crackhead son, and apparently many more people in the family. So they're gonna. It's a big mess. They have to untangle all the different ways that money was sent to different shell companies and what have you. But it looks like the Biden family enriched themselves using this company Burisma, including giving a board seat to Hunter Biden because he needs a job, $50,000 a month, and just insane amounts of money. Yeah, if you got to protect yourself from a corruption scandal, you don't want to be thrown in a Ukrainian prison for life. So maybe he was willing to make a deal. And there's supposedly It's like 17 recordings of various phone calls. And Chuck Grassley is holding on that. And James Comer, not to be confused with Comey, is also trying to rattle the FBI a little bit and get some answers. But they are covering for the corrupt resident in the White House right now. Joe Biden crime family.
So you mentioned Joe Biden family members involved in this alleged scheme. So let's talk about some of the family members. Hunter Biden has a daughter, I believe, out of wedlock, and they're in court. Is that daughter involved in this money laundering scheme? This alleged money laundering scheme?
You talking about Ashley Biden, or are you talking about Hunter
No.
Biden?
Well, I was getting to that one next. Hold on, I'm trying to build the case here of the Biden family stability. No, I was talking about Hunter has a daughter out of wedlock, and he's been in court in Georgia because he's not paying. He's making all this money on board seats. He's making money selling, as if he's selling his art and fulfilling a valuable role sitting on a board of directors with his expertise. He's allegedly a part of a massive crime syndicate. I was talking about his daughter born out of wedlock to the stripper, and he's in court over that. No, I was being there.
Poor, she's the cutest little girl. Yeah, and he's acting. He's playing poverty, like he can't, fly out there to pay child support, and it's obviously seems to be his kid. So it's so disgusting, the double standard and the way these elitists do things. And Bill Clinton had the illegitimate kid too. So it just seems to be a pattern of that.
So I guess the other family member I was curious about, you kind of let the cat out of the bag. That's such a weird turn of phrase, but an axiom. Is that an idiom or an axiom? Let the cat out of the bag.
Idiom, I think.
Okay, well, is Ashley Biden involved in this alleged money laundering scheme?
I'm not aware of anything like that. No, I mean, what I know of her, she was actually made in a speech where she was praising her dad. But there's some awkward stuff from her diary when she was a young girl. Allegedly, it's pretty disgusting. And the Project Veritas, James O'Keefe supposedly had this. And the FBI raided homes of several of the journalists to make sure that they could get this diary. If it wasn't legitimate, I'm not sure why they would go to that much effort. But we've seen plenty of videos and pictures of Joe Biden acting inappropriately around women and young girls, especially. And there was just another one when he was out, was the actress. I just retweeted that. Eva Longoria, is that her name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was getting a little side boob action. That's retweeted on my Twitter page. I'll have to pull that up. But there's a pattern of some pretty disgusting stuff. So it appears that he's blackmailed, compromised. He's a pervert who will, enrich himself with foreign donations, change American policy, whatever needs to be done so that he can be, part of the cabal, I guess. Just corrupt people enriching themselves off of America. And it needs to stop, but it's just gone too far. Now it's like too big to jail. There's just too much corruption. And now we got the FBI, Department of Justice, looks like they're protecting their guy. But a lot of them maybe reluctantly did it, but now they're kind of stuck.
And so this story
themselves. Hello, Jody. Yes.
The story is that Biden was bragging about getting the investigator fired because they were looking into the corruption, right?
The prosecutor fired. Yeah, I actually had the clip available. So the guy, they were going to go after the head of Burisma, the prosecutor, I guess. And so maybe this is all part of a scheme to protect himself by getting literally protection money from the American VP, and including putting his idiot son on the board just to make sure that he would keep himself out of jail. And there's whistleblowers. Apparently, we're still waiting for all of this to develop because the FBI doesn't want to, hand over all the information, and it's going to take a while to untangle
It's okay. It's going to take a while, but you can raid the former president's home.
Right.
Come on. No, it's going to take a while. No, it's not. No, it's not. Get to it. We all see it. Stop. No.
Absolutely. So
did you say you have the video of that?
Yeah, I do. Let's
let's go to the videotape on that. By the way, make sure you're following the New American Media. Follow Blake. He's on Twitter at TV's Blake Walley and online on his site, thenextlevelnews.com. Find the New American Media on Rumble, on Instagram, on Telegram. I think we're TNAM Chat and TNAM Official on Telegram. On Truth Social, we're the New American Media. On YouTube.com/the New American Media. So subscribe all these places. And then Spotify, the Agree to Disagree Show. Subscribe to our podcast. Okay, Blake, what do we got here? The House Oversight Chairman says evidence of 20 to 30 million of illegal payments to the Bidens. Now we're starting to scratch the surface. That 10 million is just an opening salvo. This creep's been at it for a very long time.
Right. So this is part of the original story that we were going to cover yesterday out of the Federalist. The Bidens coerced Burisma to pay $10 million in bribes, according to this credible FBI source. Burisma founder Mykola Zlochevsky, we'll try it, wasn't far from the mark when he said it would take 10 years to unravel the complex payment path that led to Joe Biden. So there's a lot of that. Biden's allegedly coerced foreign national, according to people that are familiar with the investigation. And we got Chuck Grassley, senator of Iowa, revealing the foreign national as the founder here. And there's 17 recordings implicating the Bidens in a pay-to-play scandal. So that's what we do know. And then today, as I just had that other document here, is saying there's 20 to 30 million. So it's 5 million for Joe, 5 million for Hunter, plus probably 10% for the big guy. And I'm sure, Uncle Joe got a cut of the rest of it as well. But, it doesn't matter. The fact is there's just tens of millions of dollars. And who knows, because it's going to take a long time to dig out. So hopefully this guy can speak and we'll get some of the other whistleblowers that are part of the company to come out and mention this, because we can't allow that. This is a compromise. The executive branch is basically compromised if any of this is even remotely true, and it certainly appears to be. So, and
remember when the country of Ukraine used to just kind of be an afterthought. You could talk about Tanzania, you could talk about Holland, and you're like, yeah, whatever. We're not involved there. Not much going on. We're kind of at the epicenter of this place where this alleged bribery scheme had been originated, right in the middle of a potential provocation. I know they will say that Russia was the aggressor that invaded in Ukraine. Ukraine is at the center of this Russian-Ukrainian potential undeclared World War III right now. If there aren't massive red flags. Okay, in Holland, if the Bidens were accused of money laundering 30 million in Holland, you just be like, all right, wow, that's bad. We got to take a look here. But there's no geopolitical repercussions per se. Ukraine is the most unstable place on the planet right now, this side of Taiwan, and they're neck deep in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's the most corrupt country in Europe. And they've been meddling around there, poking the Russian bear because they're right on the border, and they seem to be money laundering. They put in their own guy, Zelensky. Seems like they basically orchestrated a coup with Victoria Nuland and the neocons and Lindsey Graham and the John McCain. And they got their people in. They've controlled the country. They might have biolabs and all kinds of other sinister things going on there. But they appear to, they have major interests in there. And it's a threat to Russian security, and to have, the U.S. meddling there and with NATO right on the border. And the way that they're treating a lot of the Russians that are in Crimea or to the east, the Donbass. Ukraine is a huge country, So there are parts of the east and south that would really more aligned with Russia, and they were being treated terribly by Ukraine. So Russia had enough, and they did everything possible to try to be patient and to do things diplomatically. And when that didn't work, they finally they gathered up by the border, like, okay, we're doing this again. We're going to get close. We're going to invade if you don't stop, leave these regions alone. And they kept poking. So here they are. They've invaded, and they're very carefully orchestrating this attack. Actually, I've got a really great piece, and I will say Russian propaganda that people should check out. Actually, this is really pretty funny. So just kind of give you an update on what's actually going on with Russia and Ukraine. So let's take a look at this. Let's see, Frank, let me know if you can hear this.
No, that's bull. That's nonsense. We need some fresh ideas. Better, stronger, and effective. Oh, God, I'm so tired.
Party International.
So, as it says, yes, top tier Russian trolling. The war is not going well, and it
so
just keeps
weird.
making Russia stronger. Yeah.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Oh yeah, no, it's just amazing Russian trolling, and it shows you how the war is not going well, and they keep making Russia stronger. Every time they try to throw something at them, whether it's sanctions or militarily, economically, they've had to sabotage the pipelines, blowing up bridges.
That was just a really strange. Everything about that little commercial was really weird.
Well, yeah, no, it's see all the world leaders like just tearing their hair out trying to defeat Russia, but nothing they're doing is working. So it's a losing battle, but they keep dumping money into this fight.
Well, let's continue our conversation about the fight and pivot off of this. This is a story that we covered months ago, probably years ago, and it's coming back around now. The more attention is given to Ukraine, the more that people are digging around and looking around. Do you have a new article on this one, Blake? Do you agree or disagree that Ukrainian biolabs are harvesting organs of children?
Well, this was also a weird video I found on Twitter, and I'm going to have to here we go. I did find it. So again, we'll take it with a grain of salt. It might
Is
be
this Russian propaganda as well?
And I think, yeah, this is a sketchy source. I'm not sure about the leading report. This was part of the stories I definitely wanted to talk about yesterday and tie that in with the Russian propaganda commercial there. Now, but yeah, leading report. Let's not get too concerned about what they're reporting, but it is very possible. We do know that they're biolabs, and they did lie about the biolabs, and that there's probably some kind of human trafficking. I wouldn't be surprised there either. But there are now. This is in a different.
Well, Hunter's laptop pretty much has him in the middle of several human trafficking rings, right?
That it could be. He's definitely looks like he's seen with minors. He's seen with hookers everywhere, and some of them look to be underage, including people in his own family. And then we do know that there's organ harvesting, there's child trafficking, there are biolabs, and
we'll get to where you said that there's organ harvesting. Let's get to that. You said you have.
Well, this leading report came under a bit of fire a couple of times for reporting things, maybe without checking everything. I'm not saying they originated it, but they were wrong yesterday by saying the Burisma guy was dead, another whistleblower, and that was actually picked up by a lot of outlets. So we have to be careful with this leading report. They're kind of on notice as far as being shady, or if they're just trying to get views, because this certainly got 2.7 million views.
Well, and two quick points. What's that quote? The reports of my demise have been greatly exaggerated. I'm not sure exactly who we attribute to that coming out the first time, but yeah, the reports of the Burisma guy expiring may have been exaggerated, and we're trying to unpack this. When we share things, we're not necessarily telling you that this is what the gospel is. These are things we're finding and we're discussing it.
Yeah, they're still newsworthy. Yeah, they're
it's newsworthy that this many people are talking about the subject, so we're going to talk about it. A share is not an endorsement. A retweet is not us laying our credibility on the line and trying to convince you that you need to make decisions based on this thing that may or may not be accurate. We're talking about the things people are talking about. That used to be allowed in America.
Yes. So, and again, they also need to be scrutinized as well. So
everything should be scrutinized. Well, and on the scrutinized, on the topic of scrutinization, we're getting reports of $5 to $10 million, $20 to $30 million. Okay, well, there were tons of fake reports on Trump too. So just because a House Oversight Committee member is saying that something is reality, well, Adam Schiff said a lot of things that weren't true. Nancy Pelosi said a lot of things that weren't true. Adam Kinzinger said a lot of things that weren't true. Liz Cheney said a lot of things that weren't true. So, I mean, we have to be critical of all of the information, regardless of if it helps your team or hurts your team. I don't give a shit about team. I'm trying to figure out what's actually happening. That's basically at the core of my pursuit of following the news every day. We're trying to meet together and figure out and sift through what's trash, what's potentially true, what's definitely true, what's likely true. There's a spectrum, if you will, of news, and we're trying to sift through it. Okay, what do we have here? Set us up.
Okay, so apparently a whistleblower from a European security organization claims that Russians are discovering basement labs with evidence of Ukrainian groups harvesting the organs of children. So now, again, this is in a foreign language, so I couldn't tell you what they're actually saying. I can't confirm whether this is real or not.
Они, соответственно, они получали процент со сделки свой, и они занимались тем, что убивали детей.
I mean, we know this goes on in China, and it wouldn't be, that far-fetched. It certainly could be, and it would give you a lot of reason for why they keep pushing this war in Ukraine, is because they got a lot of secrets they're trying to hide from the public of what the United States or NATO countries have been up to, kind of doing things off books in another country, much like things that happened in a lab in Wuhan, which is also one of the major stories I wanted to cover today. But this is something that ties into this whole operation. Why are we giving all this money away to Ukraine? Well, there's hiding evidence. We'll say that. And if Russia's on that, they're going to, it's really going to throw it in our face, because they're actually going to be the good guys. They're going to be the ones liberating the people in Crimea and the Donbass, as well as perhaps saving children or whoever else could be victimized by these biolabs, and whatever other evil atrocities could be done in the name of the West by installing their own puppet into Ukraine or running the policy, or by having some of our American politicians that are, putting their kids on the board of some of these corrupt companies. It's not just Hunter Biden. There are other people in Washington that are getting money out of Ukraine. It's been a big money laundering operation. So, anyway, that is what I have on that.
Yeah, I mean, I have two really nice segues here. One is to continue with, all these stories are kind of loosely connected. over the past couple of years, all of these stories have just been tossed into a blender and mixed together. So let me go over to this one next on the Agree to Disagree show here, Blake. Do you agree or disagree that Adam Schiff deserves to be censured from Congress? Agree or disagree?
Yeah, absolutely. He should be gone. He should really face charges of treason. Yeah, he needs to go at the very least. But there need to be, some repercussions. There needs to be some punishment. He knowingly lied and perpetuated a fraud on the American people and wasted millions of taxpayer dollars pursuing something that he knew was a dead end to try to smear his political rivals with Trump, including, running impeachment on him. So
they actually tried to impeach Donald Trump because he said, let's look into the Biden family corruption in Ukraine. And they said, no, that's actually happening. So therefore you are impeached. It's very similar to like WikiLeaks or Snowden. It's like, oh, these things are actually happening. Okay, well, now you're in trouble. Well, that's not how this is supposed to work. When bad things are happening, you should be able to highlight that and shine a light of disinfectant truth on that.
Right. And
not like the disinfectant that the media lied and said the president told you to drink bleach. Disinfectant refers to a lot of different light therapies, and we all know that, and they knew that. They knew that we knew that, but they said it anyway, and they lied about it year after year. So if somebody like Schiff can't get censured and punished or expelled or charged with treason for undermining the president, for running a complete hoax for all of these years. I mean, if you can't censure and punish these people, what hope is there for anybody?
No, I agree. How do you get rid of these bad people, especially if they're, meddling around with the elections and we can't trust the integrity there? So how do you get rid of these corrupt actors that are trashing the country for their own benefit? That's a good.
And for the record, every election should be as secure as possible. These lines that they concocted behind the Silicon Valley legal team saying it was the most safe and secure election in American history, like, you can get out of here with that stuff. You can get out. You could assume that every election is going to be under assault from various people for various reasons. It's money, it's control, it's power, it's legacy, and it's shady beyond belief. So you have to have some sort of standards on that. And we haven't for a really long time. So Adam Schiff, deserves to be censured from Congress, but people like Thomas Massey, they let him off the hook. 20 Republicans said, nah, we don't think that Congress should be penalizing members of Congress. And so they voted against it. And so, Donald Trump gets overcharged for things that aren't things. Misdemeanors past the statute of limitations get elevated to felonies for some reason. Every president takes boxes and boxes of stuff with them. Some even stored in an unsecured location by the side of a Corvette where their crackhead kid hangs out. None of these people have any problem except this guy. Donald Trump has been overcharged. He's been framed. He's been set up over and over and over again. Just nonstop. But there's no way that the Republicans could come down in a heavy-handed way against somebody in the Biden administration. You're telling somebody that's been running cover for many people are considering the Democrat Party to be a literal domestic terrorist organization with the BLM riots. Go down the list of the things that they've supported and their tactics used and the lies and the corruption and all of the really they've framed. They've hoaxed their way. They've Jussie Smolletted their way to really trying to harm President Trump's ability to govern and his ability to run a second, or this latest presidential run. I mean, like, I guess where do you come in on that? I guess there could have been a clean censure that just says we'd like to pass a strongly worded letter that says Adam Smith is a poopy face. He's done a lot of mean things. And you go, okay, all right, robble. We will, yes, we write this piece of paper and condemn Adam Schiff for robble. Or you could actually do something. You could vote to expel him. You could vote to penalize him. But Republicans like Thomas Massey, who's supporting Ron DeSantis down there in Florida. They've got their team together. It's really fractured the party. Some people are really upset, really angry at Thomas Massey, and some people are saying, no, he's doing great. He's constitutional. He's leaving it. He's following the rule of law. It's like, well, let the Democrats be dirty Democrats. No, the Republicans should stand for something. Yeah, they stand for getting smacked in the face over and over and over and over and over again and never dealing with the bullies. That's what they stand for. More like kneeling or laying down or bending over. The Republicans are doing something, but it's not really standing up to much of anything. Blake, what say you on that?
Well, there's a point here. It's kind of unconstitutional the way they're going about this. So I don't mind, censuring, and they should really just do an investigation and try them for treason. But here we go. There's a lot of people that are outraged, and understandably. So 20 Republicans that saved Schiff from censure. 20 Republicans sided with most Democrats in voting against a resolution that would have censured Adam Schiff for repeatedly peddling the hoax that former President Trump colluded with Russia to win the election. So the reprehensible Schiff was one of the foremost proponents of the Russian collusion hoax, repeating the falsehood everywhere, no matter how ridiculous it got.
And remember, pause right there for a second, because this is the nonstop effort to pin the tail on Russia and take out Donald Trump with all of these lies and corruption and theft and treason. It's part of the same exact story. It's just a continuation of this. It's obvious to anybody with eyes and ears what's going on here.
Right. Well, it was a fishing expedition. Hopefully they were hoping to find something. If they did the Mueller investigation, they would if they just dug into all of these people, they'd eventually find, something. And, they can, again, find a couple of business dealings here and there, with Paul Manafort or maybe Trump Plaza, certain little things here and there. It's going to just be a normal part of business. But there wasn't actually Russian, it wasn't like Putin was actually funneling millions of dollars, or the Alpha Bank, or, there was anything going on with collusion to steal the election. That's all BS. But the reason this thing didn't go through, part of it, I don't know if it's mentioned in this article, which I do like, and pointing out these 20 Republicans, was that it was unconstitutional because they were trying to hit him with a $16 million fine. They're trying to sue him for $16 million, which is unconstitutional. If they would have left that out, then perhaps this would have gone through and they would have censured him. So they have to, go back to the drawing board, and they should.
So they want the snake to bite, but they want to take the teeth out of the snake before it gums up the forearm. Like, there's no point in a snake biting without any teeth. There's no teeth to it. What are they're going to censure? Hey, Adam Schiff, you did some really bad things. Okay. And are you charged with crimes? You keep charging the opposition with crimes. This is if this isn't a crime, nothing's a crime, Blake.
I agree, but you can't just throw that in. Yeah, but you can't throw that in there. It's unconstitutional the way they set that up. You can't just send somebody there and, oh, by the way, there's a $16 million fine here. I'll see if I can find the original source where I had that one. I had too many tabs today. Okay, here it is. It's from Anna Paulina Luna, who put this up. File the motion. Let's see if I can get the where can I find the $16 million that they were trying to get? Yeah, in tabling the motion, Schiff avoids formal condemnation and a $16 million fine. Now, if they would have left that off, then Massey would have, and those other 20 Republicans probably would have gone through with it. But that's not how you really do things, I wouldn't think, in America. Although we're pissed at Schiff and we want to, investigate him and punish him, you can't just throw that in with the censure. Like, oh, by the way, and we're throwing a $16 million fine in there. No, let's censure first, then investigate, then we'll determine what the fines need to be. And if they would have done it that way, then they probably would have gotten
investigate.
Yeah.
What are we investigating? 5 years later, they're raiding the home of President Trump. They're arresting him and charging him in various states across the country. They've declared a war on the Republican Party. Investigate. We know what Schiff has been lying about. There's not.
Oh, I get it, but you
trust
can't.
the
You
plan.
can't.
They got to get
right.
evidence. They got to.
You can't put a
Do
fine
they?
like that. It's not how you do things in America. You can't just, grab somebody out of Congress and, oh, by the way, we're going to censure you and give you a $16 million fine. What the hell? Why did they put that in there? So that was easy for
All right,
a
we'll
strict
take the fangs out of the
constitutionalist to be
snake.
like, hey, we're not a banana republic. We don't do things like that here. You can't do that yet.
But we have descended into a banana republic with the actions of
agree.
what these exact Democrats have
Well,
been
right,
doing.
but you want to join in. You want to make, we'll do our own banana republic way. No, let's bring it back to America. Let's do it the right way. Let's do it constitutionally. That's why Massey's doing it. I agree. Schiff needs to go. He needs to get the highest punishment. They can, whatever, treason, death penalty.
Treason.
I don't care. And then fine them. But you can't do the censure and the fine at the same time. It doesn't work.
By the way,
that.
I just want to point out that I like the concept of, I really like the concept of the death penalty and then giving him a charge of treason after he's dead. I like that. I like it going out of order.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, according to various reports, this guy who earns roughly, $200,000 a year. Various reports here, somewhere between 50 and 70 million dollars this Adam Schiff has. So,
yeah.
I don't know what it would take. Does President Trump need to file a civil lawsuit for $16 million then because he's been defamed?
Well, the American people, we should be getting that money back. Absolutely. Sue the hell out of this guy. But censure him first. Then we, go after him. So I think that's what these guys are. They're very strict. I'm not saying I would have done the same decision, but I get from a constitutional standpoint, and I respect that's why they didn't do it. And if they would have left that fine out of there, then they probably could have censured him. That would be hilarious, and we'd be talking about a different story. But instead, they put this little poison pill that ended up backfiring.
And now the story is, look, Adam Schiff's been cleared of all wrongdoing. I swear, the Republicans are just, I've often said the only thing worse than a Republican is a Democrat. They are both so damned useless. Anyway, moving on.
Wait, before we move on, and we're still I got to circle back to our original story because we keep getting sidetracked. But I want to talk about the reason that they impeached him. Let's get back to the one I had up before. Donald Trump.
Wait, which original story?
Just hold on, Donald. This is where we at. Donald Trump getting arrested because Joe Biden took a $5 million bribe from the Ukrainian oligarch where he was bragging at the CFR about not getting the $1 billion. And here is where it is. This was absolutely huge. And it's right out in the open. And the media dismissed this. It was so obvious in our face, and the deep state has completely covered it up, even though we both know. And it is all in his own words in a very short clip that they could show to everybody. So here it is. We'll run it.
I remember going over convincing our team, or others, to convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over for, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid.
Okay, so there we have it. It's that simple clip and maybe 30 seconds out of there, and we could have avoided all of the pain of this entire administration. And we know that this is got the $5 million. I mean, it's so obvious. It's so in our face. How did they cover this up? And then they, impeached Trump over that for asking about that.
And then I see people, we have to move on from President Trump. It's just so divisive. We have to have it. I don't care who we vote for. It's just, we have to have a different nominee.
Right.
It's like he has been taking slings and arrows and hoax after frame job after deflection. These people deflect at what they are is what they are putting out there as what Trump is.
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, we need to hurry up and move away from somebody that can actually take a few swings politically. Like a guy that calls it out the way that it has been. Not a perfect candidate. I've never seen a perfect candidate in all of my years. But it's like, oh yeah, he is so divisive. The country really needs another direction. It's like he's a fighter, is what he is. And I just, how are you going to go up against these people? How are the party is being destroyed? Either there is a Republican Party or a MAGA party or a Libertarian Party, or it's all just going to be deep state Democrat. And a lot of these rhinos have sold their political souls a long time ago, or they got bribed and blackmailed and what have you. I just,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah. They're the ruling class and they rule over us and they have a different set of rules. And the FBI, they're all compromised and they no longer work for us. They protect the elitists and the kleptocracy. And if you want to know, here's a great, I'm just going to play about a minute of this, but this is Senator Cruz talking to the deputy director of the FBI because he's refusing to, answer questions. This is something we used to laugh at other countries for. This is something you would see in Russia back in the day, not here in America. It's taken a long time, but they've accumulated quite a bit of power here. So let's roll this clip. Oh, of course. Now it's going to stop.
I have hope.
Really? It just stopped on two things? I can't run it here either, all of a sudden. Oh, man. All right. Well, I'm going to refresh this page. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. Now I can't get to the 30-second mark. Okay, here we go.
Oh, I hear something quietly. Slightly.
FBI of a report, an FD 1023, in which the informant alleges that President Biden and his family members engaged in a $5 million bribery scheme during his time as vice president. Deputy Director has a report making those allegations.
I'm not going to comment on that, Senator.
And why is that?
I'm just not going to comment on information we received, investigations.
Do you owe an obligation to the American people to be candid about evidence of corruption by the President of the United States?
This is an area that I'm not going to get into with you, Senator.
Well, I understand you don't want to, and that's why people are mad at the FBI, because you're stonewalling and covering up serious allegations of evidence of corruption from the president. Yesterday, Senator Chuck Grassley stood on the Senate floor and alleged that there are 17 recordings of this informant from Burisma, Ukrainian natural gas company. 15 of them are recordings, voice recordings of him talking to Hunter Biden. 2 of them are voice recordings of him talking to Joe Biden. Deputy Director Abate, does the FBI have 17 voice recordings laying out evidence of a bribery scheme?
Senator, I would add also that we've worked with the House Oversight Committee.
Yeah, this is the Senate. We're the other side of the Capitol. This is the Senate. Do you have those 17 recordings?
I'm not going to comment on any investigative matters, Senator.
See, that's the problem. The FBI, and I've had this conversation with Chris Wray too, this is why you are damaging the institution. The American people have a right to know whether there is serious, credible evidence that the President of the United States took a $5 million bribe. And by the way, if it's false, Chairman Durbin just rolled his eyes.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop there. But powerful stuff. Great to see.
Actually, I'm trying to remember. There's a little bit more here.
Okay.
Can you let it play just another couple? Because I remember.
All right.
It completely flips in like 30 seconds. It follows up.
If Chairman Durbin were interested in the rule of law, we would have a hearing on these allegations. But of course, the Democrats don't want a hearing on these allegations. And to be clear, if the allegations are false, you know who could disprove them? Joe Biden. He could call for this to be released publicly. But the FBI is stonewalling. Would you
Two
agree?
things, Senator. No one's
Sure.
stonewalling. The 1023
You just said you
was
refused to answer the
provided
question.
in response to a subpoena.
Okay,
to the
then why'd
House
you refuse
Oversight
to answer
Committee.
my
The-
question?
The pertinent information is there, and I reject your assertion that the
Why
FBI
did you
is
refuse to answer my
politicized.
question?
I just answered your question.
Okay.
You
So
reject the
yes, you have a
assertion.
1023. Do you have the 17 recordings? Yes or no?
I'm not going to get further into that.
So you're stonewalling. You can't say I'm not refusing to answer your question, but I won't answer your question.
It's
gonna
hilarious.
It's hilarious if it wasn't the highest levels of the FBI. Like, that dude deserves to be arrested right there.
Yes.
He works for us, our
Fired. Dereliction
taxpayers,
of duty.
paying his salary, and they're going to sit there and lie to us and just shove it right in our face. And it's so disgusting. Yeah, there needs to be another January, like a real January 6th, because people like that's why people were angry. People like that, sick of that, not having any justice in this country, no rule of law, and these people just throwing it in our face. We've had enough. So it's sad that this has happened to our country, but this is the deep state. And it's good that we still have some good people calling them out, because they need to sit up there and squirm. And more people need to see this and get angry and take action, because this is enough. So hold them
Now,
in
for
contempt.
clarity, when you say we need a real January 6th, what do you mean for that?
Yeah, we're people are going to have a peaceful protest and say enough of this Washington BS. We're tired of this. So people were
Calls for a
people were
real
just there for
peaceful
a
protest.
peaceful protest, because they didn't think that their voices were being heard, that there were problems with the election, and that they weren't actually looking at that, and that Pence might have some way of affecting the outcome, or for them to take a look at some of the other electors, or taking a look at the evidence, because people love our country and we want to be represented the way it's supposed to be. And you're not seeing that. So people are outraged, and a lot of the people are being held in the dark, and the media doesn't report on a lot of this stuff. So we've got a serious corruption problem, and there's nothing they can do about it. And when people got mad and, thousands of people showed up, I wouldn't even say mad. They were just like there to see justice done. And it wasn't. But then there was a bunch of, agitators, and a lot of them were informants. And a lot of, were causing trouble. And then
We paid government members to go to that event and violently disrupt that event. I mean, it really is a tale as old as time, with the feds getting involved and infiltrating groups, and then caught the Gretchen Whitmer fake kidnapping hoax. I mean, you can go down a really long laundry list here of times that movements have been hijacked so that violence could occur down on the level of the common man, and then the full force of the federal government could be used to discredit the group, the people, the organizations tangentially or directly responsible, people who may have supported the peaceful protest in the past. Maybe the whole message gets lost behind the violence. And you just wonder. Once again, we've called Speaker McCarthy's office multiple times. We've left multiple messages. Spoke with a young lady a couple days ago. She assured me that someone would be getting back to me, as I once again requested that we get access to however many tens of thousands of hours of footage have not been reviewed from that day. It's important to know what's actually happening.
Oh, yeah.
And remember when we were walking down the street, we saw the speech from President Trump, and walked down the road and stopped by the Department of Justice, and people were yelling, "Do your job, do your job, do your job." I saw one water bottle chucked. But
I'm surprised they didn't turn that into, something worse. But
it's the biggest splash of water since
Watergate.
I don't know.
Watergate, yeah.
Yeah, it was it was the biggest threat to democracy involving H2O since Watergate. Yeah, they would say.
So there was no angry
right.
insurrection. I'm just saying, but since they turned it into that, it was an insurrection. Yeah, BS. But these people are terrified of the peasants having enough and taking out their pitchforks.
because for guys like this, we're so they're tired of that. So, and here we are in 2023, and it just seems to get worse. So it's unfortunate. We've seen some of the other hearings where they're talking about the January 6th. It's depressing hearing how these families, these people that were just peacefully walked into a building are, being thrown into a gulag without any charges. And a lot of them, they can't even travel around. They're harassed by the TSA, even their friends and family members. Like there's some, friend Ford Fisher there was up there filming some of these hearings, and just to hear the testimony from some of these people, or like a Brandon Straka who was up there, he got thrown into a gulag. The way that they're going after all of these people, all their political enemies, they're freaking out, and it's sad, and it needs to stop. I don't know how to make it stop, but for more people to get involved and see this kind of stuff, and hopefully they'll get involved. I don't know. I don't know where it ends, but it's still continuing. But there is pressure, so it's coming to a head, and it's going to be setting up a real epic showdown for 2024 and beyond, with direction that the people are going to take this country. I don't know.
Absolutely. A couple of comments here, catching up from MJ Sedona. She says there's two sets of laws, one for the deep state and one for the rest of us. She concludes, also agreeing with the fact that Schiff is a criminal. She says, darn, she missed the notification. Hiya, Blake, and hello, Brian. Where are you following us, Jocelyn? What are you subscribed to all of Blake's channels and all of the New American Media's channels? Are you linked up with all of these and you're still not getting notifications, or are you only on a couple of them?
Well, I think she's on the Blake Walley channel, and then when that got shut down for a couple weeks, we didn't get to see her. But since we're back on that for now, and hopefully forever, I probably missed us. There's probably not any alerts. But yeah, if you want to sign up for the Next Level News or for Brian's Rumble channels, we're always around. But we're also on Friday because we usually do Tuesday, Thursday, but little schedule change at the last minute, so we don't have like a guaranteed slot time here, but we're trying to do shows Tuesday, Thursday at 3:00 Eastern, and perhaps a couple more depending on when we
more. I'm thinking more in that.
Yeah,
that if Blake has the energy and time to participate, I need to be doing more personally as well. But she can. Yes, she says she has Biden fatigue. Get rid of him before there's no country left. She'd also like to hear those tapes. Wants to know what's on Hunter's laptop and why Saudi Arabia gave Jared $2 billion. Okay, so Saudi Arabia and Kushner. Okay, and Congress shouldn't be allowed to play the stock market for votes. Okay, great points there. They're not enforcing anti-corruption laws. There's 5-10 million. It just keeps getting worse. When are we going to see something about this corruption? She's not going to hold her breath, and you kind of understand where this goes here. So she says, yes, she's following Blake's YouTube channel, and she will sign up for the others. Sorry you were shut down. Yeah, that's just par for the course. That's definitely part of the game these days. And she says, especially with the current economic crisis around the world, good time to invest in gold, silver, and digital currencies. Perhaps we do not give out economic investment advice, and we don't have paid sponsors, but diversification could be really helpful. So anyway, thank you, Jocelyn. We always appreciate your comments. Want to get caught up on those. We got a few. We're going to buzz through a little more here. I don't know. Did you already pull up a news story here? I don't know.
This is just a very quick. There's actually a couple of clips with Biden getting called out. There actually are a few media people that are trying to ask him some questions.
Keep pushing. You have all the facts on your side. Keep pushing. Stay on offense.
Right. So here's Biden getting asked about the Ukrainian bribes.
Are there tapes that you accepted bribes, President Biden? Is that true?
Would you comment on the arrest of the former president, sir?
I did have one other clip, but it was on a different article. I don't know if it's still there, but he was sitting at a table being asked basically the same thing, and he just said, "Oh, that's a stupid question." And then the people around the table laughed. But I don't remember where I found it. I probably already shut down that page. Too many open tabs today. But there it is. That's just
All
one of them.
right. Yeah, you gotta come on. Just stay on offense, people.
It's nice when they actually refreshing do their job, but he probably loses press credentials now. So they don't like to. They don't like any kind of pushback or being surprised with any questions that aren't, pre-recorded, if you will.
You might not be too far off on that. Okay, lightning round, Blake. We're gonna go to some of these next stories here. All right, we've teased this a little bit. Blake, do you agree or disagree that Dr. Fauci bribed scientists to cover up the Wuhan lab leak? And by the way, I call it a potentially intentional lab release. I don't like the phrase lab leak. I every time I hear it, I want a potentially intentional lab release of COVID-19.
Yeah, it could have been the pandemic, as some think, but we do know, or we're almost 100% certain that it did come from Wuhan. That particular lab did not come from a bat or a pangolin or whatever it was that they tried to blame it on. But here's interesting. Scientists discovered the first victims in the COVID-19 pandemic were researchers from the Fauci-funded Wuhan lab. So it's real quick. This Danish-born and British-educated scientist Christian Andersen emailed Tony Fauci, this is back in January 31st of 2020, saying, hey, this virus looks lab-made. The features look engineered, and the genome looks inconsistent with evolutionary theory. But then on February 4th, so just a few days later, after speaking with Dr. Tony Fauci, after he got the email, Christian Andersen wrote that the lab leak theory was a conspiracy theory. So what happened in those few days that caused this prominent scientist to change his mind, to say, oh, this must be just crackpot theories? So that's what they're saying. What happened in that time frame? Well, see, it looks like Tony Fauci probably called him and ordered him to publicly say it. That to go along with their official narrative. But as it turns out, even the New York Times reported, or they conveniently admitted, that after his call, Dr. Andersen was given a $1.88 million grant and $16.5 million in funding from the NIAID, Dr. Fauci's personal piggy bank. So they testified that Dr. Andrew Huff testified back in 22, released the information in a legal report. And so, yeah, they've kind of found the paper trail. So money speaks. So there's Christian Andersen doing the right thing, saying, hey, this doesn't look like it evolved naturally, to saying, oh, yeah, it's a conspiracy theory. But millions of dollars for his grant and his funding, that goes a long way to protect the establishment. So, I don't know what I would do in his position, but what we do know is that this needs to stop, and that there was a cover-up from the get-go, and that Fauci also needs to be investigated for his role in all of this. And it's going to be very bad. So we get more of the criminal class doing everything possible to protect themselves with all the big money. So
it's astonishing. Where is the accountability? That's the theme of today's show. Where is the accountability? I don't know. Well, here, I don't even know what to say about that one, because we've covered that for months and months. But now, so what? Like, they have more information, more news, updates. Is there anything planned? Is there any follow-up? Is this going to lead to any? We're just here it is again.
Here it is. It's more of
just
this,
yeah, more of the same.
So yeah, it's like goes along with the Biden and all the things that they've been doing right out in front of us. It's so obvious. Hey, look at the CFR tape. He's openly bragging about doing the prosecutor. Oh, he's getting millions of dollars in funding. It's right out in the open. Oh, okay. Well, let's go raid Trump's Mar-a-Lago. Let's go get him for classified docs, even though Joe Biden has probably 5 times as many or more, and he did it while he was the VP, which he shouldn't have done, and he had it sitting in a garage. Oh, and he's taking bribes from Ukrainian oligarchs. But no, let's go after Trump.
What about Hillary and her uranium one deal? What about her private server in her place?
Yeah, double standard.
Nothing.
Nope.
When you don't apply justice equally, there is none. I don't know what show the Republicans are watching. I don't know what movie they're watching on the screen, because they're being erased. They're being eradicated in scope, in power, in leverage, in all facets right now in real time. With every move that the Democrats don't face a repercussion, a punishment, a censure, a legal jackpot, they win. And when you allow them to win, they do more of it. I mean, it's about self-preservation at this point. What are the Republicans even doing? This whole Fauci thing, we've done entire shows on it, and we can get back to it later. But I don't know.
I mean, there are
please, anyone, aliens? You want to, I know that's the next.
We have to somehow get the power back. Going through the voting in 2024, trying to do things the right way, and keeping this Republican Congress, maybe picking up the Senate or getting good people, and hopefully you might even see an influx of new RFK style Democrats. Maybe some of them could get elected. That could also tip things a bit. If we get away from, getting rid of the two extremes of the leftist radicals, and then of course the old dinosaur GOP neocons, getting rid of some more of those by 2024, bringing some sanity back, some common sense, we could make some big changes. And there's also interesting new developments in Arizona as well. So that we won't get into that. But if we can get some election integrity and get the right people in, then we could swing a lot of things. But we still have to endure at least another year of this insanity, I think. Otherwise,
well, Blake, you teased it, so just tell us what's the Arizona update? You said there's a little bit of an Arizona update.
Yeah, it seems like maybe they're backtracking. They're starting to freak out a little bit about the signatures and the fact that they have that videotape showing that these Maricopa officials were tampering with the machines the night before the election, swapping things around. So they've got a lot of answers, or they get a lot of, they have to be questioned, and they're not going to like that. But as they tighten down, and I don't know how many courts can continue to dismiss that, there are some problems, and they have a lot of explaining to do. And it's going to take a while. But it seems like there are things going in Kari Lake's favor. And it seems like some of the people are backtracking off of maybe to save themselves, because there was like a reporter, I think his name was Garrett Archer. People can go find him on Twitter. But I was watching some threads last night. He seems to be kind of backtracking on a few things, perhaps to save himself, because if there were corrupt journalists, covering up for the regime in Maricopa County, they should be held accountable too. These journalists, putting lies on the American people, I'm down. Rachel Maddow, or even from Garrett Archer in Maricopa County, if they've been proven putting out lies and to their own benefit at our expense, then they deserve to be punished along with all of the corrupt officials too. They're just as much a part of it.
I agree with that. I also want to add here, I really do. I mean, that's well said. That the journalists, they might not have been the ones, metaphorically pulling the trigger, but they are. It was a multi-pronged approach for the past several years. They've been in lockstep with the Uniparty, with the deep state, with the lying legacy media. Or the lying legacy media has been taking their marching orders from globalists and Democrats and people that are just straight up lying to you. They're feeding you incorrect information, and they're warping your brain. It's abuse. I will go so far as to say that feeding you trauma-based fake information is abuse. I'll get to that in a second, but she says Nolan is a part of To the Stars Academy. Why isn't this not showing? To the Stars Academy, which besides Tom DeLonge is just a basket of CIA spooks. Tom DeLonge from Blink-182. Nolan is the virus specialist of the group. And will it be a disease coming with the fake UFO invasion? All right, there. That's okay. That's a spot to watch. Okay, I just want to
watch out for the avian flu or something that's going to come out. I don't remember where the source that I picked that up as, but that seems like the logical thing that they're going to push next. And they also don't want the eggs. Yeah, they want to keep the price of eggs skyrocketing and wipe out more of the chicken population. And
you know what rhymes with avian flu? Alien flu.
Ooh. Very good.
Yeah, it might be the alien flu. I just want to address this point here. Trump's weakness, Jocelyn says, is not admitting the truth about the COVID vax. Okay, I just want to address this. This is a topic I got into deep conversation with Anomaly. Check out that video on Rumble and YouTube. And he says that's the dumbest theory he's ever heard. Was the one where releasing the vaccine and fast tracking it with Operation Warp Speed kind of threw a monkey wrench into a much larger plan of a complete lockdown and shutdown. This was like, oh crap, now we can't do that. I think there's some truth inside of that. Hindsight being 50-50, of course. I put an interesting thread out on Twitter. So go to @American_media_. At American_media_. It's a whole thread about this exact topic, Jocelyn. I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that. I'm not saying I agree with everything per se, but I think there's like 9 really long bullet points of, and my kind of follow up with that is it's like Trump kept that optional for people if they wanted it. That's very different than trying to mandate you're going to lose your job. You can't travel. You can't go to the store. You can't eat. You need your mark of the beast or else you can't participate in society. You got to go die up in the hills, lonely and cold. So anyway, I just want to, toss that out there on that point. I think there's something legitimate to it, but I digress. We got a few more stories to get to here. Blake, do you agree or disagree that Daniel Penny's indictment deserves the same level of outrage that Trump's indictment got?
I'm going to agree. Yeah, people are obviously upset about what's going on with Trump and the double standard. But Daniel Penny's been like railroaded. There's a lot of the Democrats. They're being so intellectually dishonest. The guy was on the subway. People, and there was crazy homeless men that had been, arrested 40, 50 times, dangerous, violent, scaring everybody. And he was restrained by this Marine who didn't want to get involved, but finally did. Yet he did what any man in his position should do, is to protect the innocent on that train. And restrained him. Maybe it was a little too harsh, but what are you going to do in that situation? I don't think he tried to kill him, but so they call it was like an involuntary manslaughter. And New York hadn't done anything about it, but then it just to watch the left was really make me upset because a lot of the people that were on that subway were praising the heroics of this guy, and you're saying it's too bad that guy died, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like he just aggressively tried to murder him.
It's not like Daniel Penny just walked up 7 aisles and grabbed some random guy and choked him out.
Yeah,
it's like this guy was he was a frothing lunatic.
Right, with a history.
The city failed him. His family failed him. He failed himself. The city failed him. Daniel Penny, and I guess there were 2 people recently. Was it the same day? I shared something. 2 people, that one white guy, one black guy. Both had a very similar self-defense on the subway thing. And and if you scroll back on our Twitter feed, we found a lot of, maybe crime on the subway is not a breaking news story, but it should be. Accepting this as like the new normal is not normal. There's something really out of whack. Just kind of making excuses for this degeneracy, for this crime, this elevated agitation, the confrontation. It's getting worse. I don't know. There were people right there that were interviewed that said we were all terrified. Thankfully, yes. Where are these reports? And why do you have to continue on a malicious prosecution when you can just talk to a couple people and kind of figure it out? Like, oh, this isn't what it. The reports validate the situation where he wouldn't need to be on trial. I don't see this as like an obvious situation where he needs to be facing murder charges. Is it murder or involuntary manslaughter? What does he have?
I believe it's manslaughter, or it's 1 count each of criminally negligent homicide and second-degree manslaughter, and he could face 5 to 15 years in prison.
Goodness.
Yeah, so he's indicted by a Manhattan grand jury. Meanwhile, they got huge crime problems, huge homeless problems, and this guy, protecting a subway from this guy who was arrested 44 times earlier, threatening violence, saying he's going to kill people, he's prepared to go to jail for life, he's willing to die, and terrorizing people, and this guy restrains them. Some people go to sleep when you're choked out, and this guy died. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to. He didn't mean to do it, but that's why it's called manslaughter. And this homeless guy probably would have been continuing to do crimes. Not saying that he deserved to die. No, he should not have been on the streets. He should have been in a place where he can get the help that he needs. But this is not a normal society anymore. We're not trying to help these people out. We're just letting them sit around the street, homeless. And they don't have their medications. And they might flip out and do stuff. And it's dangerous for the public. They're just trying to ride the subway or do what they need to do. So he didn't want to be there. He's just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But what happens if he wasn't there to restrain him? Maybe somebody got stabbed. Who knows what kind of, crime this guy would have committed just because he's off his meds and off his rocker anyway. So this guy saved a lot of people, and now he's looking at 5 to 15 from a corrupt in a corrupt district.
No good deed goes unpunished. It's just it's a sad state of affairs. It really is. Couple more here. Blake, do you agree or disagree that Texas should stop shipping illegal immigrants to Los Angeles?
I'm going to disagree. Saying anybody who's a sanctuary city is fair game. If you're a sanctuary city and you're not complaining, you're not outraged about the problem at the border, then there's a problem. Then you deserve to have the illegal immigrants. I'm sorry, that's just the way it should go. I'm surprised that it took that long. So let's pull up an article. Here's out of the Epic Times. First busload of illegal immigrants arrives in LA from Texas. So Governor Abbott said, they transported their first group to LA, move described by LA Mayor Karen Bass as a despicable stunt. Well, I don't know why they're not welcoming them in. So Texas just dropped off the first bus. According to Abbott, around 40 illegal immigrants, families, children arrived, provided care and support from services at the Catholic Church. Abbott repeated his justification for the relocation, saying Texas border towns are overwhelmed. Thousands continue to cross the border because of Joe Biden's policies. LA is a major city that migrants seek to go to, especially now because the city leaders approved its self-declared sanctuary city status. Yes, these people should be thrilled to be sent to LA. Nice weather, lots of activities. But it's amazing that these people think that Texas is just supposed to hold everybody. So it's another one of these double standards. It's like, oh yeah, what are they complaining about? And then when they ship them up there, then they're like, oh, we don't want them either. Well, then why not? What's with the policies? Why are we allowing this to happen? So
why are we allowing this to happen? I don't get it. Why aren't they put on a bus and just taken right back over the border? All right, I think you meant to come back here. Here you go.
Right.
Here in Mexico, I believe this belongs to you.
Yeah, why aren't we deterring them? And this is going to go with another story, Brian. I don't know if you got the caption for that. That's where Senator Hawley is blasting the DHS head for allowing child slavery and for letting the record reflect that the administration has let tens of thousands of children to be sold into slavery, and they are doing nothing about it. So we do have some good people up there, and Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, of course, calling some of these people out. There's 250,000 migrant children accompanied crossing the border in the last 2 years, and tens of thousands being sold into slavery. And he's saying, let's not mince words. They've been sold into slavery. They're being put into factories, forced to work overnight, work in terrible conditions, not getting paid, not getting school, not getting fed. And this is all the Biden administration policies that is allowing all of this to happen. There are consequences. So it's not like these are just innocent refugees that are here to make an honest living. Like we have our own problems here. We can barely take care of the people we have. We got problems with crime and the homelessness and any other thing. We got enough people that need their own jobs here. And they're just letting people just run over the border. And we don't know where these people are going. And a lot of these people exploit. This is not the American dream, and this is not the way immigration policy is supposed to work. So I won't run any clips on that one, but pretty much covered most of the major quotes. So, Walley.
Goodness. It's just day after day, story after story. We're just living in a cuckoo clock, Blake.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I can't disagree with you much on that one either. All right. Next topic. By the way, thanks. Unholy Hoax says another great show. My two favorite people. Hey, back at you, Unholy Hoax.
Thank you.
Okay. Do you agree or disagree, Blake, that nearly 100% of political contributions coming from fact checkers went to Democrats? Do you agree or disagree that almost all?
I would have agreed. I've already kind of looked at the numbers up front. That's why it got on our radar and is on the show. I probably would have said at least 90%, but I did find this article here out of the Washington Examiner. And let me pop this out. Or do I have the right one? Maybe I don't. I got the wrong art. Yeah, the Washington Free Beacon. Nearly 100%, it's actually 99.5%, from the supposed fact checkers are going to Democrats. So the people that are there as neutral, as fact checkers to earn public trust by finding what the truth is, are actually it's all a big lie. It's all a big cover up. There's no journalistic neutrality as they might think it is. So that's what they've dug in. So the political donations over the past 4 election cycles from those who identified on their occupation, if you went to the IRS and said, oh, my occupation, I am a professional fact checker. Well, 22,000, almost all of it, 99.5 of 22,000 some dollars of, all these people giving out donations. It turns out that it went to Democrats and liberal groups. Only 3 of the fact checker, let me see if I can do the math. It's about, I think, $103. So maybe a few people gave out like $30 or something to give out to Republicans. All the rest of the money went to Joe Biden or Elizabeth Warren or various other people connected to the Democratic Party or for liberal causes. So all of this stuff about independent fact checkers is a lie. And so it's good to see, Twitter doing something different with the community notes. It'd be great to have, I'm all supportive of independent and neutral fact checkers. That's the way things should be, but it's not that way. It is a totally corrupt system now, with the lying liberal legacy media, and then they get their own fact checkers that present themselves as neutral when they are anything but. Sick.
Fact checkers.
This is
Now I do like Elon's community notes. I kind of like it where you can at least. The thing I'd like to do is fact checkers. It's kind of or not fact checkers. The community notes. They're okay. They're not without their. Yeah, you're right, Jocelyn. If a fact checker shows up, you're inclined to just assume that they're lying to you. I mean, if you go with that assumption, you're right. Maybe 95.9% of the time. Yeah, it's so strange to think how the world has changed in the past couple of years with Corona and with the election and just things that are verboten for anybody to discuss. My show is called the Agree to Disagree Show. You should be allowed to discuss any topic. And if you disagree, you say, all right, we're going to have to agree to disagree on that. Let's move on to another topic. And you move on to another topic and you talk about all the things. I'm in favor of talking about all the things. I don't want to ban conversation about any of the things. It's pretty straightforward. Who fact checks the fact checkers? I don't know. Coast Guard. Okay, so there's that. 2 more stories here, Blake. Agree or disagree that Pentagon Pride coloring book proves that America has been compromised? Agree or disagree?
Funny, that was in the yesterday's stack. I'm gonna have to pull that up. It's out of Summit News, and I was gonna kind of tie that into the Ukrainian or that Russian propaganda video from RT, which was absolutely hilarious. We didn't know how much time we'd have today, but I do have it. Just give me a moment to pop this article up out of Summit News.
Sure thing. While Blake finds that, make sure you follow him on Twitter at TV's Blake Walley and his website, thenextlevelnews.com.
Okay, and here it is. So the Pentagon created a pride coloring book for kids. Why is the military pushing this on children? You know, if you told me that
the military is doing the military,
right? But I mean, when you
what does this have to do with the military?
Right. I mean, it's okay. I don't have any problem if there are gay people that serve in the military. That's awesome. That's great. But why are they trying to? I mean, I don't know how much they need to mention this, and why are they targeting children? Why are they embarrassing themselves in front of the world stage?
I don't.
Yeah.
The military is 18 and older.
Right.
What does pride? What does pride have to do with military? I'm just struggling to find it. Now, I'm sure you saw, was that Raytheon where they became the meme? There was that meme about it, that the left would support them if they're dropping rainbow-colored missiles.
Yeah, they were showing the like a nuclear mushroom cloud, and it was in a rainbow form. And so, yeah, they tried to make it look cool. I don't know if it's in this.
I don't even know what to say about this. Just what
look at this.
Who's using a coloring book?
Right.
Little kids. Why is the military, who only recruits 18-year-old people, talking to little kids about sexuality? That seems completely out of their scope, out of their depth. That seems really strange.
Yeah, it is strange. There's no place in that. We don't care. I think it's kind of the, don't ask, don't tell, or is that the right policy that I'm thinking of? I don't care if anyone's gay and they're serving. I think that's fantastic. But the way that they're celebrating a whole Pride Month, I don't think this is appropriate for the Department of Defense to be, celebrating Pride Month, nor do I think it's appropriate to have a coloring book for kids. That doesn't even make any sense. Here's some of the screenshots here. I mean, this is something you do in kindergarten. This is not something, I don't understand it. But here we go. And then there's just there's highlights of all these various tweets being put out by various branches of the military, including the CIA Pride, Department of Transportation with their thing. I mean, they're run by Buttigieg. That's fine. I don't care. Not a huge deal. I'm not totally against. I'm not really against all the pride stuff. I just don't think it's appropriate for kids. That's all. Or Paul Joseph Watson saying gay cringe month, or the drag queen shows, or the U.S. Navy using the drag queen for a digital ambassador, or the Navy's bizarre training video using the pronoun safe space. Here's another Navy thing with diversity hike. It's just weird. But I mean, makes us look weak in front of the enemies. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta have the U.S. military should be somewhat respectable. But I mean, if you're people in like Russia and some of these other countries, or China or Iran, look at this like, oh my God, we are a joke.
But aren't they the ones pushing certain things? Isn't TikTok? Doesn't their algorithm push the trans thing? I've been seeing different that their algorithm's different, and like they're trying to push gender confusion on Americans. Like they're trying to. I don't know that enemies, adversaries, other countries. Hopefully, you can view them as partners and not enemies and adversaries. But let's just be honest about it. aren't they behind a certain portion of this? Just another way to confuse and divide Americans. You know, if we're united and together and we have some core beliefs, you know, we're tough to take out. But on the world stage, it's a really interesting look. I mean, I just,
they're weakening us. It's almost like it's on purpose. Like we've already been captured, and now they're just trying to throw it in our face. They're weakening us militarily, politically, financially, culturally. It's all going down. Whereas we were at a peak with Trump. Like MAGA, people respected us, and now we're a laughingstock. It's like World Economic Forum where we've been conquered.
well,
Everybody's bought for a price.
it's just, I mean, just even the branding. I'm just trying to understand the branding. I don't think there's a sloth month or a wrath month or a gluttony month or an envy month or a lust month or a greed month. Why is this the word that was chosen for the civil rights of the people who say, well, you know, this is who I am? Why is that called pride? Pride is something that, like, pride cometh before the fall. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. It's not a word that has positive connotations prior to it being attached to the LGB movement.
Well, I mean, it took a different thing about 15 years ago when there was a fight for that, and it was before the gay marriage, and it was, you know, about recognizing that these are real people and they are discriminated against, and saying, hey, they should have the same rights as everybody else. That's great. But then 15 years later, and all of it's being just shoved on kids and stuff, and now we got a woke military and woke corporations pushing LGBT propaganda. It's insane.
I mean, there's many. I've often said, you know, if I could quickly sum up where I'm at, I'm fiscally conservative, socially libertarian, pro-capitalist. I'm fairly libertarian on a lot of issues. The issue of I can't keep saying it about this. Like you said, Blake, it's like, who cares if somebody's gay? I bet in 2023, like, how could somebody legitimately care? It's different, like trying to make going into a classroom and it's like, hey kids, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan and I want all of you to be Cleveland Browns fans. Let's wear Cleveland Browns colors, and this month is Cleveland Browns month. And by the way, you're going to be suspended if you don't sing the Cleveland Browns fight song. Here, let's wear the shirts and wave the flags. Yay, go Browns. It's like, oh, just hold on. I'm sure you're proud to be a Browns fan, but like, what are you doing with kids? We're libertarians trying to make sense of this. You know, we're libertarian leaning on a lot of these things. You say it all the time. You're like, I don't care, whatever someone wants to do, but just keep it away from the kids. And that's where a lot of this is from.
Yeah, go ahead, have a drag queen show. Just do it with adults somewhere in a bar. You don't need to be having drag queens show up at classrooms, reading weird books in front of kids in weird costumes. It's so confusing and weird. And they're trying to normalize this stuff. It's not.
Awesome. All right, last two here. Moving on. RFK Jr. Blake, you agree or disagree that RFK Jr. is the most favorable overall candidate for 2024? Is that for the Dems or for all candidates?
That's actually for all candidates. When people were, they did a poll and asked everybody, you know, were they favorable or unfavorable? And he had like the biggest gap of all. So there's a lot of people, not everybody's necessarily favorable, but they're just not unfavorable versus, say, you know, people that are more polarizing, like a Trump or a DeSantis or a Chris Christie. So far, out of all the candidates, RFK Jr. is emerging, at least at this time, as the most favorable. But his stock is rising, so he's becoming a threat. They're changing things around with the DNC. They got rid of the debates. They're moving the primaries. I think they're trying to get out of the Iowa and New Hampshire. They're rescheduling things. So that'll go to South Carolina first instead of Iowa, which is always historically the first place they do the primary and find out who the delegates are going to be. So they're really panicking. And then RFK was just on Joe Rogan yesterday. He's going to be increasing in popularity. I think this is excellent news, and it's time for the Democrats to kind of face their own challenge, the way Republicans have with either Ron Paul in 2012 or with Donald Trump, who took over in 2016. It's been an outright rejection of the establishment Republicans, whether it was McCain or Romney or all the other people that they tried running in 2016 or what have you. So you're seeing the break, the big split. And I think the Democrats are going to be falling away from Biden. And I don't know if they're going to have a lot of trouble trying to sell another candidate. RFK is coming out strong. And he's got the name. He's got the family legacy. And, the more he speaks, the more people hear it. And I think he's got a serious contender. So this is going to be great. It's going to be great for everybody. RFK Jr. So,
well,
I might be on board with it too. Yeah.
I'm definitely in favor of seeing the Biden crime family face the music for all of their sins. Big time.
Yeah.
Remember what the Democrats did in 2016 at their convention with Bernie Sanders, though. He was the only candidate that had energy. I mean, Hillary had a little bit, but her unfavorables were through the roof. Bernie was just like a crazy old man, and he said a couple things, the rich, and I gotta go buy another house, and capitalism. And, he wasn't a serious human, but he represented the disenfranchised commies that really liked what Bernie was selling. And the Democrats completely sandbagged him in 2016. No reason to believe they're not going to do the exact same now. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Well, yeah, they're going to try to. I think they're a lot more. They're way weaker now. Back then, Hillary was at least a very strong candidate, and Bernie gave her a heck of a run, and they still cheated it. They took it all the way down to the DNC in Philadelphia in 2016. But then we had the Seth Rid. I mean, there was a lot of problems with that. And although, I don't agree with Bernie and the socialism thing, at least he was kind of anti-establishment. And the people, by and large, his followers were decent enough people. So if those people can jump on board with RFK and being a common sense capitalist, that's going to change things in so many different ways from, Hillary and Bernie. So you have a very weak Joe where the DNC is like, they're going to try to hide him and just try to, shove him over the finish line again. But they're already, basically conceding Iowa, New Hampshire, which happened actually in 2020 anyway. Biden was one of the weakest candidates out of I think their field of 17. And
him and Ian Kamala were the weakest.
Right. And it wasn't until South Carolina when he won there, then all of a sudden that, injected life into him. So now the Democrats want to start there instead of digging into the hole, but they're still going to make that hole because Iowa and New Hampshire are not going to have Biden win. It's going to be RFK. So the media is going to be forced to cover it.
I've heard the reports that like you see the lengths that the Democrats are going to go ahead and just try to bury Trump under lawfare. They just want to legally interfere in the election and do that. And then, when he gets out of all of these, are they going to JFK him? There's no limits that these people seem to have as far as what they will and will not do. And you go, here's another Kennedy running. Are they just going to Kennedy this Kennedy? So, I mean, it's just,
imagine how that's going to wake people up if that actually does, because he's putting that out there already, and people are trying to say he's a crackpot. Well, not that many. He is the establishment media, but he did mention that right on Rogan's show, yesterday, talking about that. Yeah, he's very well aware that the CIA could take him out at any time. But if they tried to pull that again, obviously everybody's going to know about it. It was easier to pull off in JFK in '63. when they didn't have social media and only 3 major networks, and they could just kill a whole bunch of witnesses, disappear, mysterious accidents and whatnot. But they only get away with it for so long. People suspected something, but then they killed Bobby, RFK's dad. That was obviously bad too, but people were willing to be, oh, maybe it was this crazy Sirhan. I guess he just showed up and decided to kill him. God, what a terrible guy. But I think that he's a patsy, including myself. But would they be audacious enough to try it again? They might be desperate enough to try to whack him. But if they do, it ain't going to have the same effect that it did last time. You can't do that. Get away with it.
Desperation has to be through the roof with these guys. It just has to be. Because they have nothing on their side, no reality, no facts, no empathy. Like it's iron fist, it's totalitarian, they leave carnage in their wake. I don't know. Yeah. All right. Yes, you're saying Jocelyn saying she knows people flipping from Trump to RFK who avoided the shot. Yeah, he gets a lot of that stuff right. He's pretty against guns, though, right? I
don't think so. Maybe there was something about assault weapons
bad
or
position
something, but maybe need a little clarity on that just to be sure. I think he did make some kind of announcement that he's okay with that, or maybe that something was taken out of context.
Well,
I
look,
don't think he's anti-Second Amendment. He's definitely not anti-Second Amendment. But
and look, we've reached out to his team to invite him on the show to talk with him about that, and I would gladly elaborate on that topic specifically. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't know. People flipping from Trump. I'm
going to be one of those people potentially. I'm not saying I'm against Trump. I like Trump. I hope Trump wins, but at the same time, I really like RFK, and I've always considered myself more of a liberal anyway. So I was always previously a Democrat, so I think it would be good because I ran as I would say I'm a Republican, like a Ron Paul Republican or a Donald Trump Republican. I was a delegate for Ron Paul in 2012, and maybe I'll be a delegate for RFK here in 2024, just to make an impact, just to get involved against the corrupt Democratic Party, which I see as the biggest threat.
I see the Democrats.
The neocons. Yeah,
I see the Democrats as the biggest problem, closely followed by the neocons and the rhinos on the right. Okay, final story here, Blake. This is kind of breaking today. It goes into the world of sports, but gets back to our Second Amendment and guns. Do you agree or disagree that Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies deserves a 25-game suspension?
Granted, I just have a surface level understanding of this, but for what I understand, he's gotten in trouble twice now for like brandishing a firearm on social media. And the one time you kind of get a pass, but then once you're punished for it, they talk about it. The league does an investigation. You already serve a suspension, and then you get busted again. I don't know if it was like a month later. Maybe you could fill me in. You follow the NBA a little closer than me. I'm getting more into it. I do enjoy it. But, it was just careless and stupid. And 25 is a harsh penalty. That's basically over a quarter of the season.
82 games in the regular season. So, maybe a third of the season, close to a third of the season.
Yeah, it's a little over a third. Yeah,
and that's one of the most exciting players in the NBA as well.
He's a star player.
He's got like a Dominique Wilkins flair to him. If you can think back to the Atlanta Hawks star, it's hard to say a player is like this player or that player. He's like a lot of things, but he's dynamic. He's aggressive. He's explosive is what I kind of mean with Dominique. Very explosive. So, one of the biggest commodities in that league is gone for nearly a third of the season for kind of hanging around people that are getting him into situations and doing certain things. And it looks kind of reckless. There've been multiple. This isn't the first time he's been, casually bandying his firearm, but in the Second Amendment world, you're allowed to have a firearm. You're not allowed to squeeze the trigger at something that isn't a threat. So, what you can't, you can't have a gun. What
you can. He's using it in a healthy way, showing the Second Amendment or, firing at some targets in his backyard.
That'd be very different than brandishing at a nightclub or a strip club. Yeah.
Yeah. When you're coming up as you're a gangsta, in your car, like that, that's sending a terrible message to the fans of the NBA, and that shouldn't be promoted. But you deserve 25 games. I guess that's where I would say. I'm not sure. I would think if it's a multiple offenses, he kind of did it to himself, and maybe he does. Maybe he can appeal it and get some of those games removed. I mean, with 8 people getting it, I don't know if it would really hurt Memphis that much anyway. I think they were still a 2 seed, right? They were a little bit of a weaker 2 seed in the West when there's at least 8 teams that are going to go to the playoffs. And I think they did play a few stretches without him. So they can win and still get to the playoffs. It won't tank their season. And you'll still be able to practice with the team, I would assume. You just won't be able to participate, and you'll probably get some unpaid time. So what do you think, Brian? Final answer, maybe 20 games? Or no? I don't know. Or is it a pro-Second Amendment issue that shouldn't be messed with? Or is it the context?
Wow, it's all those things. I think the league has a bit of a responsibility to try to protect their brand, their image, their messaging, and their players. So Morant acting this way is kind of damaging to the brand and the league, and it's damaging to the player. It's very reckless. It's dangerous. It could really lead to it could lead to the loss of this young man's life.
Yeah, you get him with the wrong crowd. Absolutely.
Part of this penalty could be to help himself, so that he could get some help, so that he could kind of realize, like, bro, you were on the wrong track. Nobody cares what you do in your bedroom. Nobody cares what music you listen to, blah, blah, blah. But like, you playing around with guns like this, like as a high profile person, and just, the videos that have come out and the stories we've seen, it's, maybe it's partly designed to give him a wake up call. I'm kind of in favor of giving people a wake up call opportunity. An opportunity to course correct. Now, maybe people aren't going to do that. Maybe people never change. Nobody can improve ever. But if that's the point, why have coaches? Of course, players can improve. Of course, humans can improve. So, I would just say, in a way, this might be as potentially beneficial to the young man as it is punitive. So I'm fine with 25, and just, get it together, man. Get it together. I don't know what else to say. Massive talent. We've seen it in the sports world for decades. I mean, there's 100 stories we could point to. People that had it all and threw it all away. Awful decision, big mistake. So yeah, I'm okay with the fine. I'm okay with the suspension, rather. 25 games. We'll see if they bring it down to 10 or 15 on appeal, and we'll see how much
he makes a PSA or something. Apologizes.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. You might remember me from such videos as casually waving around this firearm at a strip club. I'm here to talk to you today about. It's like a Troy McClure from The Simpsons. Hi, I'm Ja Morant. Anyway, all right, so we'll keep our eyes peeled on the NBA as that happens. Congratulations, of course, to the Denver Nuggets for winning their first title. I'm happy for cities who have never celebrated a championship in that sport to get their first championship. That's fun as a Cleveland fan. Hopefully my Cleveland Browns or my Cleveland baseball squadron get a chance to do that as well. And maybe
my Vikings or Timberwolves.
Yeah, your Timberwolves have not been to a finals or won a finals, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But you've only got 25 years in the league, so you got some time, something like that. So anyway, okay, cool. That's the end of today's program. Appreciate you all for watching. Blake, tell people where to find you one more time.
I would say thenextlevelnews.com is where I will have the archive of all the shows and things, and some highlights when I get more time to do some video editing. And of course, TV's Blake Walley on Twitter, which is my most used social media app. So thank you all. I also have a lot of people to thank. Just real quick, I was stranded in North Carolina for a few extra days this week, and some people donated to me, which was just awesome. Came through, saved my butt when I was stuck. So yeah, Ron, Katie, Lanny, Connie, Pam, Tom, Al, Joe, Cherry, Jane, Catalina. I'll thank you again in another broadcast. Can't thank you enough. Really came through, made my week. Appreciate you guys. And if I didn't mention your name or I haven't gotten through to you yet, please reach out to me because I would like to thank you personally if I can. If you catch this, thank you so much.
Heck yeah. All right, Blake. And please be sure to check out The New American Media in all the places. TheNewAmericanMedia.com, YouTube.com/The New American Media. On Twitter, we're at American_media_. Find The New American Media on Instagram. The New American Media on Truth Social. The New American Media on Rumble. The New American Media on Spotify is listed as the Agree to Disagree show. We're also TNAM Chat and TNAM Official on Telegram, Signal. We're the New American Media. We're on a couple different places. So follow us in the universe in perpetuity. And we appreciate you all. We love you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Peace.
Thanks, everybody. Jocelyn.
Yeah.